Learning mercy, lesson 6. Well, the first thing to notice is that we're jumping into a new section of Luke, which is often called the central section. It's 10 chapters. I'm so sorry. We covered 5 chapters in 2 lessons. Now we're going to take 5 lessons to draw out the central themes of these 10 chapters. And what's unique about these chapters is they're framed by a couple things. First of all, they're framed by the narrative that Jesus has now set his face to go to Jerusalem. That's how chapter 9 ends. Jesus is setting his face to go to Jerusalem. And he gets to Jerusalem in 19. So this 10 chapters is sort of arranged as a journey narrative. Jesus is journeying. And the other frame of reference here is that chapter 9 also ends where chapter 19 ends, with this emphasis that Jesus has come to seek and to save the lost. And so those two things sort of frame, both narratively and then theologically, what the Son of Man is doing, where he's going and what he means, what it means for the Son of Man to be compassionate and merciful. And I'd like the class to think about this journey. I felt like I was on the journey with Jesus. And the truth is, aren't we? As Christians, as followers, as disciples, we've heard the gospel and we've started following. We're on the journey with Jesus. It's in this context of the journey that Jesus is talking a lot about the lost. This is how Jesus refers to those who are separated from him by sin. He doesn't really call them sinners. He just calls them lost. In other words, somewhere along the journey, we've wandered away from him. We're lost, and the Son of Man in his compassion comes looking for us. In his mercy, he comes to save, to get us back to journeying with him as a disciple. And so that frame is really important. And again, going back to an earlier point you made is, what does this say about us in our journey? Are we lost? Do we need to be found? Are we finding those who are lost, inviting them into the journey as we follow Jesus? I love the journey narrative motif, if you will. It's all through the Bible. Very famously, the 40 years that Israel journeyed to the Promised Land from slavery, and we have a similar picture going on here, that God has a people that have gone from Exodus into following towards a destination. In this case, the destination is Jerusalem. It's the cross, but it's also resurrection. And so what this lesson really focuses on is how Luke has arranged this journey narrative around the idea that this journey is about learning mercy. We've already seen in his ministry in Galilee that he calls us not just to cry out for the mercy of God, but also to show the mercy of God. So on this journey of following Jesus, we find ourselves crying out for his mercy, don't we? That mercy keeps us on the road of this journey. But as we journey in mercy, we learn to show mercy. We learn to have the same mercy that the Son of Man has. And so this is a really strong theme. Spend some time looking at all in these 10 chapters, all the places where someone's crying out for mercy because they have need of mercy. And sometimes you see that idea with the journey itself, like the prodigal son. He's on a journey. The Good Samaritan, the man who's beaten up, he's on a journey. The journey is not just what Jesus is on physically, but he uses the journey concept in his own teaching, and also the mercy that's needed along the way. So we see the mercy of the Father when the prodigal son comes back and he runs to him, and they celebrate his return because the lost has been found, right? The same goes for the wonderful story of the Good Samaritan. He's on a journey. Who shows mercy? Who has compassion? Well, it's the Samaritan, surprise, surprise. And we don't just see who has mercy, that he has mercy, but we see what mercy looks like in those 7 or 8 action verbs of what the Good Samaritan did when he saw the man wounded and had compassion on him. And of course, the big takeaway there at the end is Jesus asked those around him, well, who was the neighbor? And he goes, well, the man that showed mercy. And he says, well, go and do likewise. So that's what this lesson's all about, is this journey of mercy, in not just receiving mercy from the Son of Man and crying out for it, which is part of our daily walk. I don't know about you, but part of my daily walk is, Lord, have mercy. I need it. I need it always. But the more I ask for it and receive it and walk side by side with Him, the more I find myself extending mercy to others. If I've received it, don't I have to extend it? And so that's the theme of this lesson.